Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking the brutal truth about why you procrastinate and how you can easily hack your brain for better productivity. We're going to explore the harsh reality of motivation, why you've kind of been looking at it all wrong, and how to effortlessly build momentum using actual science. So, let's get right into it. Let's start things off with a pretty simple question. Are you waiting for motivation to strike before taking action? Think about that project you've been putting off forever, or maybe that workout you just keep skipping. You probably tell yourself, I'm just not feeling motivated today, right? We all do it. We treat motivation like this magical spark that absolutely has to arrive before we can start the engine. But waiting for that spark, that is exactly what's keeping you stuck. The publication Untethered Mind puts it really bluntly. Motivation is for the weak. And honestly, they hit the nail on the head. Relying on motivation is quite literally like depending on the weather to dictate your mood. If you wait around for motivation to just show up at your doorstep holding a bouquet of roses, well, you're going to be waiting a very long time. We have to stop being fair weather action takers. Section 1, the myth of motivation. So most of us operate on a totally flawed formula. We wait for the feeling, then we act, and then we get a result. But the reality for high achievers relies on the discipline formula. It flips the script completely. You take action first, even when you really don't feel like it. That action builds discipline, and that discipline is what actually generates the motivation. We literally have to sever the link between feeling like doing something and actually doing it. The Times of India sums it up perfectly. Motivation is a result of success, not a prerequisite for it. When you start your journey with discipline, you start accumulating tiny wins. And hitting these small victories gives your brain a positive hit of neurochemicals that makes you want to keep going. It becomes this amazing self-sustaining loop, More success equals more motivation. Moving right along, Section 2, the neuroscience of drive. Now, I found this research from the Radboud University Medical Center absolutely fascinating. Cognitive control isn't just about your sheer ability to focus. It turns out it's actually a subconscious, value-based decision your brain makes. It's called the expected value of control, or EVC for short. Basically, your brain is constantly running a cost-benefit analysis behind the scenes, asking, hey, is the cost of this mental effort actually worth the predicted reward? If the perceived cost is too high, your brain just opts out. So you don't actually lack willpower. Your brain just did the math and said, nope. So what exactly tips the scales of that cost-benefit analysis? Well, it's dopamine. Striatal dopamine doesn't just dictate your ability to work, it controls your actual willingness to exert effort. When you achieve a small victory, boom, your brain releases dopamine. And this literally hacks that EVC calculation we just talked about. Dopamine magically lowers the perceived cost of a difficult task and inflates the benefit. Suddenly, hard work feels highly rewarding and totally doable. All right, Section 3, strategic environment design. Trying to fight distractions with sheer willpower is like swimming upstream. It's exhausting, and let's be real, it usually fails. The Head Out blog provides the perfect solution here. Make productivity the path of least resistance. Science actually reveals that our environment influences our behavior way more than our intentions do. By strategically designing your surroundings, you can naturally kill procrastination triggers before they even have a chance to start. Here's exactly how you remove those environmental triggers. Step 1, run an audit to find out what actually distracts you day to day. Step 2, physically declutter. Studies actually show that organized spaces help you stay on task 1.5 times longer. Even just facing your desk toward a blank wall instead of a busy window can boost your focus by 30%. Crazy, right? And step 3 is digital. Initiate a strict do not disturb protocol. Close those extra tabs, silence your alerts, and make focusing the absolute easiest choice for your brain. That brings us to Section 4, the 5-minute rule. All it takes is 5 minutes, seriously. When you're feeling completely paralyzed by a huge project, just commit to starting it for a mere 5 minutes. The real trick here is giving yourself explicit permission to quit the very second that timer goes off. There's no pressure to finish, no pressure to be perfect. You literally just have to start. Now, the reason this 5-minute trick works so flawlessly is all thanks to a psychological principle called the Zeigarnik effect. When you begin a task, your brain creates an open loop. It's kind of like how a really catchy song gets stuck in your head until you finally hear the ending. Human brains absolutely hate open loops. They fiercely crave resolution. So once you've started those 5 minutes, it actively becomes harder for your brain to stop than it is to just keep going and close the loop. This creates an absolutely incredible compounding effect. The 5-minute rule lowers the stakes and just melts away the anxiety of perfectionism. Taking that one tiny step forward triggers the dopamine release we discussed earlier. That dopamine then hacks your brain's cost-benefit analysis, giving you a massive boost of motivation that snowballs into real unstoppable momentum. You started with zero motivation, and 5 minutes later, you're completely locked in.
Okay, let's bring it all together in Section 5, Action Creates Motivation.
Research from the University of Calgary proves that our classic assumption is entirely backwards. We naturally think motivation leads to action. But in reality, action leads to motivation, which then leads to further action. It's exactly like an engine that you have to manually crank to start, but once it's actually running, it fuels itself. You simply must take that initial action first. To sustain this loop long-term, you've got to rely on structured discipline. Set a big goal, sure, but then completely forget about it. Instead, focus entirely on your daily process. Implement what I call no matter what days. These are days where you execute your process regardless of how you feel. And crucially, balance this discipline with self-compassion. Take micro breaks, step out into nature, let your brain recharge. That is how you sustain focus for the long haul. I want to leave you with a final challenge to really think about. What is one task you've been actively avoiding that you can commit just 5 minutes to right now? Seriously, stop waiting for the perfect mood. Stop waiting for the stars to perfectly align. Set a timer, lower the stakes, and go take action. If you found this explainer helpful and you're ready to stop relying on the whole myth of motivation, be sure to subscribe to our channel, A Better You, and hang on to us. We're going to keep bringing you the absolute best science-backed guides to upgrading your life. Thanks for watching, and go start your 5 minutes.